There is a camera in the dashboard of a BlueCruise equipped Ford, and while the truck is running, it is watching the driver's face. If that truck is in an accident, or sometimes just comes close, it keeps a picture of the person behind the wheel. That is not a leak, and it is not a lawsuit. Ford says so on its own website. Ford, Toyota, and General Motors each aimed a lens somewhere different in their 2027 models, and the thing every forum has been bracing for, the federal kill switch, is not in any of them. 3 years ago, this hardware was rare enough to be a bragging point. When Consumer Reports evaluated 12 active driver assistance systems, Ford and General Motors were singled out as the only two automakers earning bonus points for using infrared cameras to actively monitor whether a driver's eyes were on the road. That was the 2023 report. 3 model years later, these systems are spreading across mainstream trims, and the 3 companies did not make the same choice about where to point them. Ford went at the driver. The page is public. It is the BlueCruise page on Ford's own site, under the frequently asked questions, sitting between the paragraph about sunglasses and the paragraph about which highways are mapped. The system uses a driver-facing camera. It tracks the driver's eyes and face to help make sure they are on the road. If a driver tries to block or disable that camera, or looks away from the road for too long, the system warns the driver and then shuts itself off. Then the storage question, which is the part worth slowing down for. Ford states that the vehicle does not store images from that camera unless there is an accident, or sometimes a near accident. When that happens, it stores one image inside the vehicle. Ford says the image stays in the car rather than going to the cloud, and that in an accident investigation, the company would require either the owner's permission or a legal order to retrieve it. So the vehicle photographs the driver's face at the moment things go wrong. Sometimes it does that when nothing actually went wrong. On a near miss, that ended fine. And the rule about how long that picture lives and who has to ask for it is written by the manufacturer rather than the driver. The honest counterweight belongs here too, and this channel is not in the business of leaving it out. Ford also says that camera is only active while a driver chooses to use BlueCruise, or lane centering assist combined with adaptive cruise control, and that no images, photos, or videos leave the vehicle and go to Ford during regular use. Compared with a system that streams a cab into a phone app, that is a meaningfully narrower promise, and it is the manufacturer's own promise on the record where anybody can hold them to it. It is also not the end of the story, and the criticism coming at Ford is not the direction most people would guess. On March 31st, 2026, the National Transportation Safety Board announced the results of its investigation into 2 fatal crashes from 2024, both of them Ford's running BlueCruise that struck stationary vehicles at highway speed, one on Interstate 10 in San Antonio, and one on Interstate 95 in Philadelphia. 3 people were killed. In neither crash was there any braking or steering recorded in the moments before impact. The board concluded that the driver's over-reliance on the automated system contributed to both crashes. It also faulted the monitoring, finding that the system allowed off-road glances to go unnoticed, and it recommended improved driver monitoring to detect distraction, along with changes to BlueCruise itself. So the pressure coming from the safety side is for that camera to watch more closely, not less. Both arguments are about the same piece of hardware in the same dashboard. Owners have already mapped where the hardware physically sits. On the F-150, drivers on the Ford truck forums describe 2 eye detection sensors rather than 1, the obvious one mounted in the driver's side A-pillar, sitting in the line of sight almost constantly, and a second one in the center stack near the screen. The blinking light people notice at night is an infrared illuminator, the part that lets the system read eye gaze in the dark. And there is a way to see it working, which costs nothing and takes about 10 seconds. Infrared is invisible to human eyes, but not to a phone. Owners on those forums point a cell phone camera at the sensor with the truck switched on, and the illuminator that looks dead to the naked eye shows up on the phone screen as a light. Anyone shopping a Ford this year can run that check standing in the lot before any paperwork gets signed. There is a second Ford item on the 2027 order sheets, and owners who live through the OnStar Smart Driver mess will recognize the shape of it. Every 2027 F-150 includes 1 year of the Ford security package, and buyers can pay once for 7 years of coverage. The package delivers theft alerts, stolen vehicle location assistance, and something the order guide calls Start Inhibit. Modem activation is required, which is the phrase doing the quiet work in that sentence. For 2027, the same package becomes standard equipment on the transit cargo van and the passenger van in XL and XLT trim. Start Inhibit means the ability to stop the vehicle from starting, remotely, through the connection. Sold as an anti-theft feature, and as an anti-theft feature, it is a good one. It is also worth knowing the capability is in there, and that the switch is at the other end of a cellular link. Every piece of this was already in place before a single regulator asked for any of it, and that turns out to be the whole point of this list. Toyota did something different, and to Toyota's credit, it did the version that gives up the least. The company's latest generation multimedia system launched on the redesigned RAV4 and is rolling out to more models across the lineup, which is what carries it into the 2027 vehicles. It includes a drive recorder dash cam as standard equipment. Toyota's own announcement says the system provides dash cam style function without the need for a bulky in-cabin camera placement. It records using the vehicle's exterior cameras. It captures 20-second clips of manual and triggered events. The driver can adjust how sensitive the trigger is, watch the clips on the head unit, and pull them onto a USB flash drive. That last detail is the one nobody else on this list offers. The footage comes off on a thumb drive that goes in a pocket. Toyota aimed the recorder out at the road and left the driver's seat alone. The pipe underneath it grew, though. That same system marks Toyota's first integration of 5G connectivity carried on the AT&T network, and it brings in the Arene software toolkit from Woven by Toyota, which Toyota describes as its first step toward fully software-defined vehicles with continual updates sent over the air. A faster connection, and a vehicle built to be rewritten remotely. Now put two numbers next to each other because they are the same number and almost nobody has noticed. Toyota's drive recorder saves 20-second clips, and the recorder that has been bolted under American dashboards for years, the event data recorder, the black box, was ordered by federal regulators in December of 2024 to expand its pre-crash recording from 5 seconds to 20 seconds, at 10 samples per second instead of 2. That rule was supposed to take effect on the 1st of September, 2027. It did not. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation, the engineering body SAE International, and Stellantis subsidiary FCA all petitioned for reconsideration, and a rule effective in June of 2026 pushed the requirement into a 4-year phase and that starts in September of 2028 instead. The 20-second requirement itself survived untouched. Only the deadline moved, and manufacturers are free to comply early if they want to. General Motors went widest of anybody. For 2027, an interior camera carrying the option code UCV becomes standard equipment on every trim of the Chevy Traverse and the GMC Acadia. It gets added to the GMC Terrain, the Chevy Silverado EV, and the GMC Sierra EV. Not a package on the expensive trim. Standard, across the board, on the family crossovers that sit in more American driveways than almost anything else the company builds. The camera runs two features the brochure is happy to talk about. The first is cabin glance, which puts a live view of the second and third rows on the infotainment screen, so a driver can check on a grandchild or a dog without turning around. That is a genuinely useful thing, and nobody should pretend otherwise. The owner's manual is also explicit that cabin glance is real-time only and is not recorded or stored, which is worth saying out loud because it is the one camera function here that keeps nothing. The second feature is called security recording, and it captures activity inside the vehicle while the vehicle sits parked and empty. On the Terrain, that interior camera works alongside the exterior HD surround vision lenses under a system General Motors calls connected cameras, and the footage becomes viewable remotely through the My GMC app. A separate feature, Surround Vision Recorder, turns the outside camera network into a built-in event recorder. So the same crossover that shows a driver the back seat can also record the back seat with nobody in the car and stream what it sees to a phone. Now the timing problem, which is the strangest detail in this whole video. General Motors lists connected cameras on the 2027 Terrain as late availability. In plain terms, the vehicle gets built with the camera physically installed, the buyer signs the paperwork and drives away, and the function that makes the camera record arrives afterward, over the air. The owner does not schedule that. The owner does not approve it. It shows up the way a phone update shows up. One quick thing while that sits there. If this channel keeps saving people the afternoon of order guide reading it took to put this together, subscribing is what keeps it coming, and the next one lands before the dealership has finished writing its talking points. That is a different arrangement than anything the dealership has language for. Somebody can look over every inch of a truck sitting on the lot and still have no way to check a feature that has not been sent to it yet. On the Terrain, that connected camera's function is bundled inside the technology package to option group, so the recording capability rides along with a package most buyers check for the driver assistance features and the visibility aids. Somebody ticking that box for the parking sensors is buying the cabin recorder too, whether that was the intention or not. The connection carrying all of it is not a subscription anybody has to remember to renew. Since the 2025 model year, every new retail General Motors vehicle ships with the OnStar Basics package as standard equipment, which keeps the built-in cellular modem live on the network for 8 years from the original in-service date. 8 years. It is tied to the vehicle instead of the buyer, so when that crossover gets sold, whatever remains of the 8-year window transfers to the next owner along with the tires. Which brings this to the thing most people actually came here worried about. There is no federal kill switch in a 2027 model. There is no impaired driving system that will refuse to let a driver start the car, because the rule that was supposed to create one does not exist yet. Here is where that stands. Congress ordered it in the 2021 infrastructure law in a section numbered 24,220, and it set a hard deadline. A final rule was due on the 15th of November, 2024. That date came and went. Regulators have published an advance notice, which drew 18,367 public comments, opened a separate information collection about a dashboard warning light, filed the report to Congress that the law requires when the deadline gets missed, and kept meeting with the industry. No proposed rule, no final rule. By the spring of 2026, Mothers Against Drunk Driving was calling the progress deeply disappointing. 4 years past the deadline, the loudest complaints are coming from the safety groups that wanted the rule written in the first place. One honest complication, because somebody in the comments is already typing it. Europe did mandate a driver camera. Under the European Union's general safety rules, every new car registered there since the 7th of July, 2026, has to carry an advanced driver distraction warning system, which watches head position and gaze and warns a driver who looks away. American buyers are not covered by that rule, and they get the hardware anyway, because a manufacturer building one global platform does not build two versions of a dashboard. So the rumor is wrong, and it is worth being precise about why that is not good news. Every camera in this video arrived without an American regulator forcing it. The mandate people have been furious about for 4 years is sitting in a drawer in Washington, unwritten. And in those same 4 years, Ford aimed one at the driver's face from the instrument panel, Toyota wired a recorder to the exterior lenses and made it standard, and General Motors mounted one in the roof of a family crossover and shipped it before the software that runs it existed. Nobody was ordered to do any of it. It came from the product planning meeting, went onto the order guide as a feature, and got priced into the vehicle. What the collecting turns into is already in the public record, and General Motors wrote that record. On the 14th of January, 2026, the Federal Trade Commission finalized its order against General Motors and OnStar in a 2-0 vote. The complaint behind it alleged that the company gathered precise location and driving behavior data, in some cases as often as every 3 seconds, and sold it onward without informed consent. The order bans General Motors from handing that data to consumer reporting agencies for 5 years, requires affirmative consent before collecting connected vehicle data, and gives owners the right to access and delete it. According to a General Motors spokesperson, the settlement carries no financial penalty. Now count forward. That 5-year ban runs out around the start of 2031. A 2027 truck bought new this year will have roughly 4 years and a set of tires on it by then, still in the driveway, still connected, with an OnStar Basics window that has years left to run. The restriction expires before the vehicle does, and the legal side is still moving. Attorneys general in Texas, Arkansas, and Nebraska have suits pending against General Motors over driving data, the Texas case alleging data taken from more than 14 million vehicles, and private lawsuits over OnStar tracking were cleared to move forward this past April. For anyone standing on a lot this year, the practical version is short. On a Ford, point a phone camera at the A-pillar and the center stack with the vehicle running, and see whether the illuminator lights up on the screen. On a General Motors crossover, look up at the headliner above the center console before signing anything, because a camera up there is now standard rather than optional. Ask the salesperson which features on the window sticker are listed as late availability, and get that answer in writing, because those are the ones that arrive after the sale. Ask how long the connected services run and whether the term follows the vehicle or the buyer. None of that requires a tool, and all of it is easier to ask before the paperwork than after. Nothing here is a reason to go buy a horse. Phones track people. So do banks. And the cameras at the intersection. The difference is that a phone gets left on the kitchen counter, and a vehicle with a camera in its dashboard and an 8-year connection sits in the driveway whether anybody is using it or not, doing whatever the last software update told it to do. None of this is settled. The impaired driving rule is still owed to Congress and gets written the moment a regulator decides to write it. The 20-second black box requirement starts phasing in during 2028, and manufacturers can adopt it sooner. The federal restriction on General Motors expires in 2031. Every one of those dates lands while a 2027 model is still an ordinary used vehicle on an ordinary lot. And when those dates turn into rulings and order guides, this channel will have them. So tell me in the comments which 2027 model is on the shortlist, and name the trim, because the camera answer changes between them. And say which brand should get pulled apart next, because Ram, Nissan, and Hyundai are all sitting on the list with their own order guides waiting to be read.